Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the third installment of our Spring ELA Tech Talks titled Practice and Conclusions, Tech Strategies that Reinforce Learning. My name is Jamie Trujillo. I will be moderating today's webinar, and I'm here with the oh-so-wonderful Dawn Dutton and Montserrat Ayanadel, who will be our presenters. Now, before we get started, please make sure that you put your name and your program name in the chat. That way you can get credit for attending today's webinar live. If you have any issues with the chat, please feel free to email me at jamie@nmdelt.org. And with that, I will turn it over to Dawn and Montse.
Thank you,
There
Jamie.
we are.
I know. So thank you, Jamie, for that introduction. We are both wanted to talk and say, well, we can do it together, Dawn.
Go ahead.
So that I love that picture that Don actually have to admit he chose that picture of us, and I love it. So thank you for that. Thank you, Jamie.
Sorry, Jamie, we left you out.
It is all good.
But we are very glad to be here with you again. We have a lot of things to share, and also we are going to do a review of what are the C3 and C4 of the training from the back of the room framework. And as Jamie said, we are Montserrat Ayanadel and Dawn Dutton with you today.
Our objectives today are pretty simple. We're going to continue with the 4 C's, connections, concepts, concrete practice, and conclusions. Today we're going to talk about the last 3 of those, C3 practice and C4 conclusion. The 4 methods pioneered by Sharon Bowman with her books, Training from the Back of the Room, and other publications. We're hoping that participants will be able to recognize activities from each of these categories and produce activities on their own from C3 and C4, add them to their lesson plans, and measure their effectiveness by monitoring student progress. Next screen, please. Hey, Monse, what's up? How can I learn more English quickly?
Hi, Dawn. I guess we just have to practice, 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 and practice.
Oh, okay. Practice, 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 practice. Yes, by definition, practice is learners repeatedly performing a skill. Practice, 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 until they become competent doing it. Competent, competent, competent. That's our word for today. Competency-based instruction, competency in a task or in a language or in a word or in a use of a word. All of those things is what we're looking for in our students' achievements. The things that we look for in a practice is that all learners will be active during this time, not just you. No one's going to be just watching. Everyone is involved, and mistakes are allowed. This is when we take our information after connecting to the information in some kind of way in our C3 efforts, and then going through the concepts in our C2 efforts, and studying in a variety of methods, listening, reading, manipulating, touching, feeling, learning about all those things. Now we want to put that into practice by practice, practice, practice. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to learn from our mistakes. The teacher's job at this point is to facilitate, guide, not necessarily correct every grammar point or misuse, but to make sure that everyone is participating and that each student is accountable. Next screen, please. I'd like to talk about a couple of low-tech things and then a couple of tech things that we do in the classroom in the practice phase of our instruction. Just things to keep in mind, nothing new here really. Things to keep in mind what we want to do. One method we can do in the classroom is to practice a thing called teach back, which is students in pairs taking turns explaining what was just learned, what they just studied, like I said in the previous section. Take turns demonstrating a skill, interview questions, for example, and then role play a real life situation that uses the language learned or the skills learned, and take turn asking each other questions about what was learned. Very important to ask. The person asking the questions obviously is learning as much by forming those as the person answering. It's not just teacher answering questions. It's all very, very student directed at this point. Another opportunity is called circle teach back, which is a real old school kind of method where everyone does get involved. As one student is in the center, summarizing or demonstrating what was learned, and with a soft ball of some kind or a bag, and then that student tosses it to the next person for their continued explanation or summary or additional comments about what was worked on. Next screen, please. Skills-based practice might involve something called each teach. In pairs, one person pretends that she knows nothing about what was learned. The other person explains or demonstrates the content. And this is a little bit different because, again, it's required that the student ask questions as if she didn't know anything at all about what was learned that day. And the other person is going to explain. And of course, how do we learn something really well? We learn it by teaching it. So this gives that an opportunity to work. Wrong way is a little more sophisticated, and this might be a little difficult with the lower level students to even get the idea of what's happening here. But one student intentionally makes mistakes, either grammatical errors or something, misuse of a noun or a verb or vocabulary word, and the other student, she makes a few sentences, and the other student must recognize and suggest ways to correct the mistake. So this might take a little bit more monitoring, but could be very fun and very involve a lot of critical thinking if the students are high enough level to get the idea and to carry this out. Next screen, please. A lot of question marks here. This is pretty simple. This is all about the person questioning. What we did in our construction class when we worked with Facebook in their construction class, we did a lot of things with tools. And it got quite interesting when somebody had to explain what a tool like a screwdriver did, and what's it made of, how do you take care of it, right on up to more sophisticated power tools, which then we got into the safety of the tool, what if something breaks in the tool, how do you fix the tool, how much does the tool cost, where can you buy it cheapest, is it better to get a warranty on it, all kinds of things that we did with the more advanced level students that you can do with the same subject. So here we have a picture of a couple of tools, and these are the questions. What's that? What is it? How does it work? What do I use it for? And I think it's as simple as it is. It's something that's going to generate some conversation and some vocabulary. I think this can be used in any if your topic is housing or your topic is health. Put a picture of a hand or arm or leg and ask questions about that. Ask questions about the human body, or ask questions about interview skills, or whatever it is your topic is for the day. For, like I said, for like a power tool, is it dangerous? How do I use it? What's the best power source? A variety of questions can be asked. Next screen, please. For some tech practices, a variety of ways to do this. All of them involve students having a computer or having the internet on their phones. The first thing is, with the help from the instructor in pairs, one learner searches and finds a useful site to learn vocabulary. Excuse me, vocabulary about housing. If housing is your subject, or vocabulary about whatever your subject is that day. Then she teaches her partner how to access the program, how to use the program or the site that she found, and also discusses the content, the meaning of the words there. So what are we doing? We're enhancing our students' digital literacy, communication skills with the other person about the digital source, and as well as the content. Number two, for example, interview skills. Partners search YouTube to find a suitable job interview video to study to pattern something after. So students go to YouTube and find a suitable, meaning an interview that is similar to something they might want to do in a job that they're interested in. Last time I did this, there are many different kinds of videos about interviewing, and finding when it's appropriate would be part of the assignment. For a job search or for career readiness or career knowledge or something, my favorite Career One Stop, the Department of Labor product that is free and has lots and lots of information about jobs, is a great thing for any student to know about. Any student that's even considering getting a job or moving up in a job or learning more about their own job. There's so much information there. So the assignment would be for a student to find the job he or she likes and then tell his partner all about the job as well as the site. And both students would do this. For collaboration practice, and there's a whole lot of that required in a lot of jobs. And here we're going to be collaborating online using Google Docs maybe. Write a summary of what was learned in class that day to summarize your lesson. Write it down and have each person contribute to the product. Discuss back and forth, writing notes, in the document or whether like that, or even using Google Slides to create a presentation. We know that if a student can produce a PowerPoint or a Google Slides, they've actually learned a lot about technology and a lot about a subject in order to do that. Next slide, please.
Well, thank you, Don, for that explanation.
Yeah,
it's me. I'm here. I was paying attention to what you were saying, really close attention, because it's very important to say that you are sharing things that you can use with technology and without technology. And those are very important things to do. So thank you for that. And also now we are going to transition to the C4, which means conclusions. And before we start talking about conclusions, I would like to ask to the participants that are live with us today. So what do you think conclusions or activities are essential for the learning process? So Jamie, we're gonna need your help here. So if you have people, we have people join us today, we would like to hear their comments and insights.
And we do have quite a few people on right now. So given that we have just a little bit of a delay, we can give everybody a chance to type that in the chat. Why do you think conclusion activities are essential for the learning process? Any feedback you have?
Great. Thank you, Jamie, for that.
You're welcome.
So as we know, conclusions are very important, and I think everybody knows it. But I really am curious to hear the responses that we are going to get.
So the folks from ENMU Roswell, they say it's important for outcomes.
Perfect. That's a great answer. Thank you for sharing, Roswell. I'm glad that you are here today. Thank you for your support. Do we have any other answers, Jamie?
Nothing yet. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and continue, but yeah, we do not have anything else.
Okay, but
we just got something else. I'm so sorry.
Perfect. No, don't worry.
Recapping a lesson or reinforcement of a lesson, level gains. And then Nancy McKean says they can consolidate learning. They make students think about what they've learned. So those kind of all go together: recapping, reinforcement, consolidating learning that makes students think about what they've learned.
That's fantastic.
Awesome.
You guys, I know I love to hear from you, because you are right. All those outcomes, all those the reinforcement of the learning, setting outcomes, reevaluate, make them think, all that is totally true. Thank you for sharing. Next slide, please. So as you just said very well, learners summarize and reflect about what they have learned, right? The best part of this is that, of course, we focus on the lesson. And I have to confess to you that before, even for me, I was rushing to just teach a lot, and I didn't give the time to have a meaningful conclusion process. And that was my big mistake. And I bet a lot of us do that sometimes because you have just so limited time to share what you want to teach. So in a way, I've been changing those practices and, of course, enhancing that with technology. And that's something that I'm going to show you now, some of the things that I've been using in my classroom. And the four points that I want to emphasize in this presentation is that we are going to summarize. The conclusions help to evaluate and reflect. Of course, celebrate learning. That's very important, to have time just to have fun and celebrate what students are learning. And then create action plans, like next steps. They are really important to just guide the content and actually to develop meaningful outcomes. So let's talk about that. Next slide, please. So how we integrate effectively technology in the C4 part of this framework. So these are some of the things that I've been using in my classroom. And as you see, if you've been paying attention or watching the videos that we've been posting, the all ELA TED Talks and also the virtual conference that we had last week, there we talk about a lot of these tools, and today we are going to put it together. And if you have any questions of the application of these tools, the how-to, please go back and review these videos. And if there is something there that you don't know and you would like to explore, please send us an email. We will be glad to work with you one-on-one and give you that support. So first, what I do a lot with vocabulary review is Pull Everywhere. As you know, and we mentioned through the presentations, Pull Everywhere is a great tool that students love because they can use the text function. You don't even need to have Wi-Fi in the whole classroom, just in your computer, and of course a projector to just reflect to show the answers. And this is a picture of something that I did in one of my classes. We were talking about the best personality traits at work. So these were ELA students texting their answers, and we got this awesome, great word cloud. I like the word cloud because, again, we are using brain-based research and practices in our instruction. So as we know, visuals and pictures work very well to learn and to reflect and also to reinforce the learning. And this is why we got that beautiful picture of a word cloud. And again, students love to use their phones, and Pull Everywhere is a great tool to do that. Then, if you don't have Pull Everywhere, there's another tool, and I showed this in the virtual conference how to do it. There is an add-on for Google Docs that is called Word Cloud, and you can use the same that Pull Everywhere. However, you have to share the doc link, make it public to students to comment, available to students to share, and they can just type the word in a collaborative document, and then you use that add-on and will give you also a word cloud. So those are two options to do vocabulary review, or also you can get feedback. Pull Everywhere has a lot of tools that you can use to get feedback. Why we love it? Because it's anonymous, so you don't need to put the students on the spot. Sometimes students, some of them, actually yesterday one of my students told me, sometimes I feel I don't understand anything, and sometimes I feel I do understand everything you said. I think that's normal for everybody. So we have to let them space to do that and to actually reflect at home what they got or not, right? Or even you can ask open questions about that. I like that because I don't need to make them feel bad if they had a bad day or not after work and they just came to class to see what they got. That's totally fine. It's fast. Of course, once you start using this often in your class, becomes very handy and fast. Of course, you need to put some time on first. And in the beginning, it's a little hard, but then it gets better. It's visual, like we said, all brain-based research gets personal. And I like to get personal with my students and just connect with them and reinforce the social and emotional learning aspect of my lessons. So I do like to get personal, and those programs help you to do that. And also it worked for a multi-level class because you don't know who's posting, and that gives the space and the freedom for students to make mistakes and also to just have typos. This is not about perfect grammar. It's about expressing the students expressing themselves. So this worked really well in my class. Next slide, please. So now let's talk about reflections and evaluations. And then, of course, celebrations. But in terms of reflection, a great tool that I use, and I use both features of WhatsApp, is the voice message to get feedback. I use it through my whole, using through the whole lesson. Sometimes I use WhatsApp as a C3 just to practice the content, but also for reflecting, because a lot of the times voice is so much faster. And like I mentioned, sometimes I don't have enough time, so I will use WhatsApp just to do it very fast and just get some feedback from the students. And also we use the web option of WhatsApp, where students can, I create a chat so students can just chat and comment. This is not private because you're going to see the names of the students, but work really well if you have a debrief question in the chat and the students will just respond. They can respond with an emoticon, or they can respond with a simple word. Another tool that I use a lot is Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a tool that helps students to record the message, so they can show a short video from 15 seconds to 90 seconds, and they can just share their reflections and then allow students to review their classmates' reflections as well. So that's a great tool for students to do it in the classroom and take it with them at home, so they can still watching the videos and just keep thinking about the reflections and comments from their students. Another tool that I use a lot is Padlet, because it's an online bulletin board, and that is the best way to use to post a picture, to post comments. It's easy to share. You can all use these three tools in a way together sometimes, if you have the energy and time and students are willing to do it as well. And it's very effective. And I know we've been talking through these tools in different presentations, but these are tools that we use all the time. And to celebrate, I like Kahoot a lot, and I know you know it, and it's great. It's a great tool. It's an award. It's important to award your students with some kind of game and celebration. Maybe bring some food at the end every week, or do something just to make them feel that things are working well and they are doing great. And of course, they are learning. Sometimes this learning is not fast, so you need to make the time to acknowledge that learning for each student. And the other tool that I wanted to share with you is this website. It's called We'll Decide. And actually, if you get online, then you will look. I'm not going to share my screen today because we don't have much time, but it works great if you want to choose randomly things. So for example, you can put the name of the students and just use this application. Actually, it's a web-based application, very easy to use. You can put the name of the students, or you can put questions. It's very easy to use, and I think you will love it. That doesn't require much of a technique to use and make things easy, because you don't have to pick up students. This website will pick the student or the question for you. Next slide, please. And lastly, to talk about next step. What are next steps is to create an action plan. So all these tools can help you to create kind of exit tickets and action plans, which are very good to plan what's next. So for example, you can ask, what question do you have? What would you like to explore later? How are you going to use this in your life? How this apply to your job next week? Tell me something that you will implement for your work. 3 things you learned today. So those are things that we always have to have a time to ask after we finish our lesson. Doesn't need to be every day, but it's meaningful if you do it at least at the end of the week, so you can recap all the content that you taught and then do quick reviews. And again, another thing that I use a lot are emoticons, and I mentioned that before because I have a multi-level class, and sometimes the best way to get all the feelings is just by posting a picture or using emoticons. Next slide, please. So just to finish, this is kind of the end of the presentation. So thank you for joining us today and for being here with us. And we are wondering, what other ideas do you have to integrate technology for C3 and C4 that we haven't mentioned, and do you use and you love? So please use the chat, Jamie, if you are there. We are aware that we don't have much time, but it's so great to hear from you. So please take your time.
Yes, definitely. And as you're typing these ideas, any other ways that technology can be integrated for either concrete practice or conclusions, we can definitely go to the next slides if you want, Monse and Donna, or we can, wait here for a little bit.
Perfect. Let's do that.
Okay.
So we are talking about questions, and if you have any questions, also take the time to write it on the chat. Jamie's helping us to share those questions and concerns that you have, or thoughts, comments. And if you have, of course, further questions later and you're watching the recording of this webinar, feel free to send us an email. We would love to work with you, and we would love to hear from you as well.
And I'm not sure if, I cannot recall, so I apologize. When we were rehearsing, I couldn't remember if you put the workplace, the Facebook workplace on your slide, but that's also another place where you can share ideas and ask questions. And
That's
if you,
so true.
and
Yeah.
I believe, how many people have you entered into that Facebook group?
We have already 24 members. And then we have the link at the end, because we also have a survey that we are requesting participants to just fill up for us, so we can always improve and share what you want. And please feel free to give us some comments, feedback, anything. Everything helps.
Awesome. So let me go over to, I guess we will get to that last one where you can talk about how to join that Facebook group for sure.
Yes.
We have great plans for next month. We are presenting our last in the series. So here we have 4 C's and 4 Spring Tech Talks. We're looking to bring it all together. So we're going to be presenting what does it look like in the classroom here when we're following the C's, the connecting with the students, and then the concepts and the concrete practice, and then the conclusions. Following up some things that we talked about today and things we talked about in March, and bringing it all together. So I hope you can stay tuned for the dates and times for that one, but we will be coming in May.
Awesome.
And as you know, we are the NMDEL team. We provide training, support, resources. We want to network with you and connect and create this group of teachers that collaborate together. And we also provide professional development opportunities. So for more information, please go online, check our website, nmdel.org. And we are on social media, so please connect with us as well. And as we mentioned, we have this survey. If you have the time, that's the link. Please access, give us feedback, and we would love to hear from you. And Jamie, I don't know if we have any questions or comments.
Nothing yet.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Well, again, if you have any further comments, questions, you can post them to the Facebook group. You can email. You can go to nmdel.org and go to connect with us, and you can get our contact information that way. So we are here. We are here for you, absolutely.
And Jamie, thank you for mentioning that, because I see we didn't put the name of the how to access the group. But if you want to be part of this group, networking group for English language acquisition teachers, please send me an email or to Dawn, and we will add you, and we will send you the information and how to access the group. We would love to work with you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys both so much for such a wonderful webinar, as always. And thank you all for listening. We hope you have a great rest of your week. Take care, everybody.
Take care.